true soul sister, New Orleans mister.
Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Bonerama co-founder and songwriter Mark Mullins on the 2019 single called Empty World. It's a dedication to Allen Toussaint, the prolific and legendary New Orleans producer and musician who impacted the lives of so many New Orleans musicians. So this epic trombone-focused band teamed up with renowned vocalist Michael McDonald of the Doobie Brothers fame. The lyrics reference Toussaint's songs, point to a picture of the kind of person he was, and express the sadness of him no longer being with us. The song is also a dedication to all of the New Orleans lost legends. We talk about this with Mark and so much more, so dig this interview.
So, Mark, hey, thanks for taking a minute on behalf of the band to talk to me about your new single, Empty World, and more importantly, thanks for reaching out. This is a beautiful song.
Appreciate it, man. It's a little different if anybody's familiar with Bonerama. We've been around 20 years here in New Orleans, and this is the first time we've done a song quite like this. It's a little different than what we normally do with our trombone-fronted brass assault.
The beauty of this is that, you know, it's a tribute song. I'll kind of let you take the lead on that. You wrote it pretty quick. So talk to me about the tribute, talk to me about the emotion that went into it, kind of give me an overview of it.
I guess it was 4 years ago, next month actually, coming up here. I woke up one morning to a text message from my friend John Grove from Papa Grove's Funk here in New Orleans, and it said Allen Toussaint passed away in Spain last night, and I couldn't believe it. I, just like everybody, I was in shock, and I was, as a New Orleans musician, I was devastated. His music and his producing and his arranging, just his songwriting, just about everything he did, you know, had a really big impact on me as a musician, and still does. And so I was just heartbroken. And a lot of times when I hear news like that, I tend to just kind of be alone and want to write something or just write something down or get something out. And I wrote this song, you know, and it's called Empty World, and there's a lot of Allen references in there. Some of his song titles are mentioned, but also how people kind of remembered Allen and the impact that he made. And so it's a different kind of a song for us. And the hardest thing was, I can't really sing the song. It's a really tough song to sing. And I was out on the Last Waltz 40th anniversary tour a couple of years ago. I was backing up Warren Haynes and Don Was, and Michael McDonald was also involved in this great tour. And he had asked me if I would do horns for him on his new Sony release, I believe it was. And I was like, absolutely, I'd love to do it. And so I did an arrangement for him. And as soon as he asked me, this was on the side of the stage during one of the shows. We weren't on this one particular song. We were both standing together off stage somewhere when he asked me to do that. And so I immediately let about 8 seconds go by, and then I was like, wait, I should ask. I mean, I had no business asking Michael McDonald to sing on one of my songs, but I mean, geez, why not? And so I asked him, and he's like, oh, sure, well, let me hear it. I'll check it out. And after he heard it, he's like, I'd love to do it. And I explained what the song was, you know, about, and how it was about Allen Toussaint with him in mind. And he was all about it. Came in and did actually, I sent him the tracks, and he went in and did a bunch of takes, and they were just all just amazing, you know, just the total right voice for the song. And so he sent it back, and so that's how it happened. We're just super excited we can have somebody like Michael McDonald on this song. And it's a different sound for Bonerama, for sure. But for the purpose of what it is, it fits perfectly, I think, you know, with Michael on there.
Well, yeah, and you guys bring so much power to your sound, and Michael just has that timeless sound. I mean, when you think about the era of music that he was in, you could stretch it out into any era. He just has an amazing voice. So to see this from the beginnings to now and what this could become, it has to be pretty exciting to not only have this song with just the texture and the feel of it, but just as kind of the resounding ode to such a titan in the New Orleans jazz scene.
It's really true. And unfortunately, you know, over the last, you know, since Allen passed away, we've been losing a lot of great New Orleans musicians and New Orleans legends pretty rapidly here, you know, Dr. John and Dave Bartholomew, Art Neville. I mean, the list goes on and on. These are all cornerstones of what has made New Orleans music what we know it as today. And these guys were just walking around the city a matter of years ago, and all of a sudden now it's feeling different. You know, it's like, wow, these guys literally wrote the book on, you know, New Orleans R&B, New Orleans funk. You know, Art Neville, geez, you know, is directly responsible for creating the bands, the Neville Brothers and the Meters, and bringing that kind of music and feel to all of us that we're also influenced by now as New Orleans musicians and New Orleans music fans at the same time. So it's a pretty big departure for these folks to be leaving us, but they're leaving us with some incredible music, incredible benchmarks that they've set, you know, of what this stuff should be, you know, and that's what we aspire to every day when we go on stage and play.
You know, the one thing about New Orleans is being one of the cradles of jazz is that, you know, when you really look at the history of New Orleans and what they've done musically for the world, it's like a musical baton race. I mean, when Satchmo left, everybody was devastated, but you had to carry that baton, and Allen did that, and a lot of cats too. Mm-hmm. Do you see yourself as a part of a larger process of taking that flame of the New Orleans vibe and keeping it alive the way Allen did, you know, taking it from Satchmo and all of his early innovators? Do you see that in this process?
You do, and you're incredibly humbled by it, because you know these are just the massive shoes that you can never fill, but all you can do is do the best you can do and respect the tradition and the music that came before you, and be influenced by it, appreciate it, respect it, and just do your best. You know, they did their best, and they grew up in a time, you know, when they had people they were following and watching and listening to and being mentored by, or, you know, being influenced by. So we do the same thing, and you know, we're younger, but it's now, it's I think all New Orleans musicians do feel that, and it's a tremendous responsibility and honor, and it's humbling at the same time. But it's also very exciting in some ways to be able to carry this music, even when they're all here, you know, just to be able to carry this music across state lines and be able to bring it to people and say, well, this is our take on New Orleans music. You know, we want it to be great, or we want it to be as great as the people that we love, you know, like Allen Toussaint and Art Neville. And we may not ever reach that greatness, but this is our voice and what we're doing. We love to bring that to people across the country in Kansas City whenever we can, you know, just to try to bring a touch of Louisiana to folks, because it's a special thing that we have down here, we feel.
Absolutely, man. Mark, thanks for reaching out with this new single. I can't wait to play it for my audience, and I'm sure you're ecstatic to have the world listen to it. So thanks for reaching out. Good luck with the single, and long live New Orleans, man.
Thank you, Joe. Take care.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and cats and bands in New Orleans, Kansas City, and spots all over the globe, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Mark for reaching out, for the music, and his time. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com. And for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.